Hello everyone, it's me, Tony Clespis, and it's Friday, so that means it's time for Fiction Friday! For today's Fiction Friday, I'm going to be talking about a book that I included in my wishlist video a few weeks ago. I finally got my hands on a copy of it, and it is Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, The Sword of Summer by Rick Riordan, and clearly you can tell that I got it at Target. No sponsorship, I'm not that popular. I got my hands on a copy last Friday, finally, and I wasted no time in trying to read it, unlike any other book that I buy, which is I buy it, leave it alone for a couple months, and then finally read it, which I've told you guys so much I do. Started reading it the day I bought it, which is very rare for me, but I've been wanting to read this book for a while, ever since I heard about it, which is actually a few, like maybe last year, or maybe even 2 years ago I heard about it, and so I've been waiting for this to come out. So obviously I'm going to start reading it. I genuinely love everything I read from Rick Riordan, so I'm always excited to support him and give him my money and read his books. I have a whole section on my bookshelf just dedicated to him because I love it. Well, not dedicated to him, but all his books are kind of clumped together on my shelf, and I just love reading him. One thing that I do love about Rick Riordan's books, though, is if you ever want like a crash course on any kind of world mythology, check out his book series. He's got 3 of them now that involve mythology. One of them is his Percy Jackson / Heroes of Olympus series. The Percy Jackson one is the very first set of books he wrote, and the Heroes of Olympus is kind of a companion or sequel series to that. So, I love it. That deals with Greek mythology, and then he's got one called The Kane Chronicles, which deals with Egyptian mythology, and now he's got Magnus Chase, which deals with Norse mythology. I'm all into that stuff. I eat that shit up. Ooh, I just cussed. I eat that up. I love mythology. I love reading. I love learning about mythology. It's so fun, and his books are just a crash course on all of that stuff. So much so that he's even kind of got little subtle clues on pronunciation in his books. Like, he'll introduce a name, and then he'll have a character kind of say something close to that name, but not exactly that name. So he kind of like gives you these little pronunciation clues, which are great, because when you see a word, especially with this book, if you see a word from Scandinavia or like any kind of Northern Europe language, it's going to be hard to pronounce on paper without having any kind of sound base for it. So it's great. He's great with that. What else I love about him is that his writing style is very consistent, even though I've kind of a little bit bores me. I'm sorry. I mean, I like that it's consistent. He's got a very consistent style. It's just that having read so many of his books since I was like in 7th or 8th grade, like I've been a fan of him for that long. His writing style is it doesn't change. Like, let me just say that. From book to book, it doesn't change. He's got very witty one-liners, very sassy kind of characters. Sometimes he breaks the fourth wall, and it's all just kind of that way. He tries to modernize everything, which is honestly a great thing, actually, that I don't really mind, because all these myths and all of these tales, or the ones that we know of, are just like from a completely different world, like this ancient world, and he kind of modernizes it, which is really fun to see sometimes. Like, it's kind of fun to always see magic in the modern world, which I love. I eat that up, like I've said already. It's just my cup of tea. I love it. I enjoy it so much, and I will honestly keep buying his stuff, even if I am a little bored with his writing style. Sorry, Rick. But one of the things I do like about Rick Riordan is that over time he's kind of realized the importance of diversity. Let me get on my soapbox here a little. Today's society, there's really no excuse to have a lack of diversity in anything. TV shows, movies, books, whatever. Like, there's just no excuse for it. I'm sorry, like, if you think differently, but I don't think there's an excuse to have diversity in your books. Whether it be skin color, sexuality, mental or physical illnesses, or handicap, there's just no excuse to include that stuff in your books. protagonist, and that's what Rick does now. He didn't start out that way, let me say, but as his books evolved, he included more diverse characters, and I love it. You can easily sell me on something with many diverse characters, and Magnus Chase is no exception to that rule. He's got an American Muslim girl, deaf elf, and a black dwarf, and those three are three of the four main protagonists, and it's great to see. I love that. I love diversity. I think everybody should have diverse characters and casts and things like that. But that's kind of getting off aside of the point. So let me just get off my soapbox about diversity for a bit and just go back to the book. He's so good at creating characters and plots that I really just enjoy reading Rick Riordan. I genuinely enjoy everything he's put out. Well, at least everything that I've read from him. I know he's got more that I haven't read, and I probably would enjoy that, but it's just I haven't gotten around to buying any of those books. But anything in the realm of mythology written by Rick Riordan, I know I can trust because he does his research. Really, he does his homework. There's so much stuff about Greek mythology or Egyptian mythology and now Norse mythology that I never knew about, and Rick informs me. So if you're wanting to learn about this stuff, like I said earlier, check out his book series. He's great at that stuff. Unless, of course, you're just boring and don't like fantasy stories, then I'm sorry, these aren't for you. And I'm also sorry for you that you don't like fantasy. Come on now. Again, it's called Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, The Sword of Summer. I highly recommend it. Maybe not as the first book that you read from Rick Riordan, because Magnus Chase is the cousin of one of the main characters from one of his other series, his Percy Jackson series, and she is in here. So if you don't have any knowledge of his Percy Jackson series, that whole interaction might be a little confusing for you. So maybe not the first book of Rick Riordan's that you should read. Actually, if you're gonna pick a first book, might as well just pick up The Lightning Thief, which is his first book in the Percy Jackson series. That's where it all kind of starts. Yeah, let me shut up about Rick Riordan. If you like Rick Riordan, if you like any of his stuff, or if you've read any of his stuff, give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to see me talk about more books and more stuff for Fiction Fridays, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It would mean so much to me if you hit that subscribe button. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. Bye! When do I get my Audible endorsement? I'm just kidding.